Anyway, that's where babies come from. Isn't that nuts?
That's
I
good
didn't
to
even
know.
know. Yeah, my wife showed me a YouTube video and I was like, that looks frustrating.
I thought it was storks.
No, it's not. That's
Yeah.
a common misconception.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bugs Bunny.
It's fake news.
Fake news. So, Mike, 10th anniversary of God is a Scottish Drag Queen. Is that correct?
Yeah, we started doing Edmonton Fringe in 2011.
Holy cats.
I know.
So you're sick of it.
I'm not.
What?
If you told me 10 years ago that I'd still be doing it, I probably wouldn't believe you. But it was a fun ride.
If I told you 2 years ago that, we'd be living in a pandemic and that, you'd probably punch me in the face. So
I probably would have believed you. I would have had more questions. But
awesome. So is it a best of? Like, is it a best hits type of thing, or how are you going about it?
Yeah. So I wanted to do a show that because it's tough because each year I come back with a different show. Mm-hmm. So I know that some people have worried, I can't jump in on number 5 if I haven't seen, and they're all standalone, so you can jump in as you like.
It's not Sopranos.
Yeah. You'll know the characters.
Exactly. You'll get
if you've read the book, you're up to speed.
Exactly. You do have to read the book.
Yeah. But it's so it was a chance to kind of cover my favorite stuff from all the shows and give people a best of, and this year, because I haven't been able to get it up on its feet in front of people to see if new jokes work at all. It's been a nice way to go, okay, well, I know that these ones are a popular choice. So
do you go by your favorites or do you go by audience reaction?
Both, I guess. I am curious to see if what I think is the best of is what other people think is the best of.
Yeah. Not that one, Mike. Not that one.
No. Do the next one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Actually, no. Do the other one. Yeah. That's what you're gonna get.
Yeah. I thought of doing a chunk in the show where I could let people choose. Like a few comedians have done that for their encore. Like, is there an old joke you want me to do? And that's what they close with. But the problem with that is that people usually use the punchline as the title. The one about this. It's like, well, you kind of ruined the
do the one where you tell the story about how babies are made.
Yeah. It's good. It's not storks.
No, that's the fake news, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
How do you get yourself excited about? And I'm not saying like how do you get yourself excited, but like, because this is something like, do you find yourself do you have like a ritual before each show, or do you just sort of the material, you go in and blammo, or you need a cup of coffee? Like, do you have some sort of thing you do before each show?
No, I don't. I used to. I used to have a big glass of water and listen to Garth Brooks's Baton Rouge. I used to do it right before the show. He used to get me. It's a great song. If you need a little you need a little like jazz. I'm not even a big country fan. I don't know why that fell into my radar. Yeah. But it's a fun one. And then I thought, well, if I make this a ritual, and one day I run out of time or I can't listen to it, I'll get in my head like, because I didn't listen to, or I didn't. So I broke it. I just decided to not go down that road. So usually it's I get ready for the show right before it starts. Mm-hmm. So my favorite is if I can hang out in the booth with the technicians and just watch people come in and talk to somebody rather than sit alone in the dressing room. And you can hear the audience, like they pump in the sound of the show. And so just hearing the sound of people is an anxiety inducing experience. So if I can stay out of that room, I will.
Everybody's like, this is going to suck, right? This is going to suck.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's probably going to suck. What's it called? That's dumb. Yeah. Like the Sistine Chapel? That's dumb.
Every once in a while, there's a camera, but it's at the back of the house so that you can see the stage.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, you see just confused people looking for their seats, which I always really like. People are like, it's fun to watch, but yeah.
It's better in person, I'm sure, when you're back by the booth. You're like, that guy's going to fall. He fell.
And very, very few people recognize me out of costume. So it's It's nice. I can just walk through a crowd completely incognito and
Yeah.
people don't know. So that's nice. I mean, not
Nice.
now because there's no crowds anymore, but
Yeah.
yeah, when there
How
were
do you,
crowds.
did you find this is have you done have you been doing any shows like in the last couple weeks, I guess?
I did a show last night,
Okay.
but just little tiny shows,
Yeah.
little one-off shows, and it's all really small audiences, which is very similar to what it was in the fall. I did a tour in the fall, and that was all socially distanced, and so
Yeah.
it's just getting back in that weird saddle. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
it is different, eh?
I'm very fortunate that when I write a new show, usually I put it up in a little 50-seat theater.
Hmm.
And I've done a few at the Grindstone in Edmonton too,
Hmm.
which is like
Hmm.
80 seats. So
Yeah.
that's really great because in an 80 seater, it's pass fail. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if if half the audience doesn't laugh, it is a crippling silence.
You can feel the frowns.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, right away, you're like, oh, I can build more on this, or
Yeah.
a bit that I thought this is gonna be a solid 10 minutes. You're like, oh, that's 1 minute. That is not what I thought it was. So that's usually how the shows start. And then I build them up to do these big 2,000-seat theaters.
Yeah.
But so playing a small, intimate audience is how the shows started. So it's just going back to how it began rather than anything else. So I don't mind it.
Is there a special way you're going to adapt to the Garneau? Because you're going to have that 100, say around 100 people, but it is a 500-seat theater. I hope they jam them all in the front. I hope that's what they do. I think they're going to do that. So
Yeah, well, when I was at the Fringe the last time we sold out, I sold out the whole run. So that was a big energy. It's a really nice room to play. But when I went back in the fall, I think we capped it at 100.
Okay.
So I've played that room with 100 people, which is weird that that's the new sold out.
Yeah.
But when they're kind of spaced, the energy is not as bad as I thought it would be. You do have to work really hard off the top to get them to where you need to be. But other than that, it's fine. It's just another show, which is because the nice thing is that in this time, the people that are coming really want to be there.
Exactly.
So there's nobody that's like, I guess we could see a show in a pandemic. Like the people that are there have their masks, they're ready, they're
prepared. They're lifers. And but I mean by jammed, I don't mean like jammed. I mean like spaced, but all in front there,
if you put people on the main part of the Garneau, the 100 people is still very sparse.
It is. That's very true.
Yeah,
but the Garneau is beautiful. It's a beautiful theater. So
I love it. And I did a pandemic version of the show that I toured and then released as an album and a special so people could watch it. And people said, are you going to tour that? And I said, I hope these jokes aren't funny in 3 months. I hope they're and they aren't anymore.
Good.
Nobody cares about hydroxychloroquine anymore. Who saw that coming?
Exactly.
But we did a theater that was a 600-seat theater, and they could in BC the cap was 50 people. Okay. So that was desolate. That was the energy was nothing. So it was quite so 120 people in a 500-seat is a lot better. It makes a big difference.
And like you said, once you get one or two people laughing, that's infectious. So I didn't mean infectious like that though.
It's the giggle variant that we're all hoping to
the giggle variant. That's true.
Yeah.
So it's a best of God is a Scottish drag queen, not part 10. It's sort of, the greatest hits. It's the double live album.
Yeah.
Do you record any of your stuff, like just the audio stuff? Like, do you ever get into that, like just to sort of like have it for the archives, or do you do an album like you just said that you do? Like,
I record the audio of a show when we're building it.
Okay.
So that I can listen to it and do it. It's funny because normally I do a show on average every 3 days in the regular times, and now. Oh gosh, I can't even when. So there's 3 big 2-act shows in the series and a Christmas special. So I do them a lot. So people always say, how do you not get them confused? I do them all the time. So it's just repetition.
Yeah.
But now the next time I do one of the shows is October 2nd,
Oof.
and it'll have been almost 2 years since I did it.
Wow.
So it'll be October 2nd, and before that was March 14th was the last time I did the show. So I have to go into rehearsal again for all 4 of the shows.
But you
So
have your guides, which is why you record them.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the show is scripted,
Mhm.
but it's scripted so that it appears not scripted.
Ah,
So my hope was that people would come and see the show and go, oh, there will nobody will ever see that show
yeah.
again, with all the asides. And I wanted it to feel like a very unique experience, and it's not, but the goal is that I hope it feels that way. I did a show with a wonderful improviser named Dave Morris. We shared the venue, so he had the early show and I had the late show at a Fringe. And his show, he took a word from the audience. He asked for a word from someone to describe their day, and then built a whole show out of it.
Wow.
Arcs and characters, and wrapped it up in a perfect bow in 55 minutes. And people left that show going, there's no way that was improvised.
Yeah.
And then they would see my show and leave and go, there's no way that was scripted. So it was I really liked the juxtaposition of the 2 shows together. But yeah, so it's nice to have it. It will be weird to go back into rehearsals for it.
Cool.
But I'm excited.
Do you have, like, I'm sure during your rehearsals you have someone there with you as a director or as a guide?
I do.
Do they come on the road with you, or is this just like a one person?
So usually I have a stage manager that travels with me to run the shows. But my wife co-writes the shows with me.
Cool.
And she directs the shows as well. And she's really great. She has no interest in performing, but she has a really great mind for writing, and for her directing style is really energy and beats that don't work. And, oh, you're too angry in this because you're angry in the bit before, so you have to find a different emotion. And she's really good at trimming the fat off the jokes. So she's done very well. And I think that because we started on the 3rd show, and I think the shows have had a lot of heart and wonderful moments in them since she's joined the team. So it's certainly gotten much better.
I've heard that actually about your shows, that there's a surprising amount of care and like you said, heart in it. Is that easier than the jokes? Like, does that even a comparison?
The nice thing is that the funnel of the show is that they are funny.
Yeah.
We are writing and doing a comedy. So the moments that are sweet are there will likely be something quite funny in it. So it's usually a build up to a punchline.
Okay.
But I think there is a lot of heart, and there's a lot of people that, especially in Edmonton, there's been a lot, there's a few preachers that come to the show all the time, a couple of pastors and church going folks that's what they were raised on, is the idea of a God that preaches love and acceptance. And so the idea of sharing a message of hope and a safe place to laugh and enjoy yourself. It's nice. One of the greatest experiences I've ever had was in Edmonton in the 3rd show. They all kind of blur together now. But I do not a joke, but a funny conversation about trans people. And I was very nervous about doing it. And it is, I don't believe in punching down. And I wanted it to be a joke that everyone would appreciate. And so it is a moment where it gets very quiet and very still. And I share my honest thoughts of people who are making a choice that they think will be to give them the life they have always wanted. And I had a dad come up to me after the show, and his child had transitioned, and you could tell that he didn't get it. He didn't understand why they weren't what they were born with. but he was 100% behind them. He was a good old boy from Alberta, and but it was their kid, and whatever you want me to call you, I'll call you, and I'll be your dad. And it was lovely to see the support. And he came out after the show and he said that from the show he had his aha moment where he realized why his child would make that transition. And
That's awesome.
I thought, well, if I don't ever do a show ever again, that's enough. That's the perfect moment for me, that one person might have had that moment. And so if people can come and have a laugh, that's great. But if people can come and have a moment of happiness and reflection and joy, that's the perfect bonus for me. So
and there's something magical, like just going back to that gentleman that you talked about, of him sitting in a room with people appreciating you, and you talking about something like that he might be confused about or not sure how he feels, but sees the acceptance of that. That is something that people don't realize theater and art do a lot of. And it's okay. It makes it an okay. It's like you said, it's a safe place to exist in and all that stuff. So I think that's super.
Well, I wrote a very heavy one-man show called Mama's Boy a few years ago, just about my experience. I grew up with a single mom who really struggled with an addiction to alcohol. And so I wrote this show, and it was a story I'd wanted to tell for a long time. And it is a raw, unvarnished show. And I thought, I don't know if people will connect to this, because it was so personal, it was so specific. And I was shocked afterwards, the people that connected with it. And I think when you go out and you tell your jokes or your story, you're not sure what people are bringing to the table for their own stuff. So the people connected with having a single mom or having a parent that struggled with addiction, or maybe they struggled with addiction and had kids. And so it's fascinating to things that I didn't even think about, that people go, oh, that's the tie for me. So when I do the shows, it's always fascinating to see what people will click with and what people go, I don't get that at all. And so
it's neat to think about an audience like that, to like each individual brings themselves into a situation and each of them are experiencing something,
Oh yeah. And it's such a unique individual experience, because everybody had to find parking and wait in line, and you don't know what's going on with their day. And I've seen shows and I look around and people are just weeping. They're so connected. And I've gone, oh, I'm not here at all. I missed it. I don't know when the train left, but I am not on it.
Yeah.
And people look like they're having such a great time, and I'm having a good time, but I'm not having the time
that they're having. But you're a conduit, right? You're a vessel.
Oh yeah.
You're like a medium. You're a comedian.
Yeah, I am. I brought one of my favorite shows ever is a show called Jake's Gift.
Oh God.
Yeah. And I've produced it. I've watched it. I've seen it, I think 15, 16 times.
Oh.
And the first time I ever saw it, I had one lone tear, and now I can feel a knot in my neck.
Yeah.
When the lights come up, like I am ready for a cathartic, and I will just cry. Like
just
I
openly sob.
Oh, I don't care. I've never cared. I'll cry on a plane.
Yeah.
I don't wipe my cheeks.
I can't watch Tim Hortons commercials since I have kids.
Yeah,
I start crying at Tim Hortons commercials.
Oh, it's brutal. But I brought my wife and her cousin came to the show, and my buddy Morgan was with me, and so the four of us are sitting, and me and my buddy and my wife are just gross, like just snot bubbles, and you watch the show and you're like, just finish so we could stand and applaud. And at the end, I looked over, and my wife's cousin, not an ounce of sadness, no tears at all. She's like, that was great. And I was like, what kind of psychopath?
Exactly.
Like, that is just, like, who could make it through that?
Yeah, she's like, I had a really good time.
Yeah, great. Tell your whole body.
Good job, everybody.
Yeah, well done. I'm so what an emotional roller coaster we all went on.
Thank gosh I wasn't born a robot.
Yeah. I'm so glad I wore waterproof mascara, or I would be a wreck. Like,
I would be totally sad.
Yeah. A friend of mine had a password to his Fringe show once that was I didn't cry at Jake's Gift. And he's like, now I know nobody can use my password.
All right. Okay. So let's pretend that nobody has seen your show before. Can you give me an elevator pitch? Because some people watching this might not have seen your show before. Give me an elevator pitch for, and it doesn't have to be the best of Goddess of Scottish. Just give me the elevator pitch for your show.
That a god dressed in a floral power suit comes down to set the record straight and expound on everything from pop culture to humanity. That's kind of the evening.
Nice. So it's like Jaws meets Avatar.
Yeah.
I thought so. Yeah.
I mean, hopefully less. Well, I don't want to say anything about the.
Don't give away Jaws.
I won't.
Yeah.
It's
He's his
storks.
father, by the way.
Turtles all the way down.
Is there anything that you thought I was going to ask you that I didn't? Is there anything that you want to that you wanted me to ask that I didn't, or any statements you want to have just for the end of the interview?
No, I feel like it was an emotional roller coaster.
I enjoyed the entirety of this experience. I can't wait to get into my dream diary about this.
Oh, I'm gonna journal it the moment this ends.
I'm gonna write with my left hand.
Ooh, it's like somebody else's writing.
And the joke stops there. Awesome. Thank you so much. All the information for the show will be in the body of the video. And thank you so much for taking your time and chatting with me.
Thanks for taking the time to chat with me.
Not a problem. Have a good day.
You too.